in this example, we look at penalties. Now, penalties are not that often asked in exams and tests, but let's look at it. So example 1, this example illustrates a late penalty. Estimated as the 31 December year-end, it submitted its first provisional tax payment on the 15th of July. If you have a December year-end, when are you supposed to submit your first? 6 months into the year, 30 June. They only did it on the 15th of July. The estimated income was R1,000,000. So what is the date by which the first one should be made? 30 June. Calculate the first provisional tax payment if you accept that the estimated taxable income will be accepted by SARS. Right? So this just to show you this is what they should have done. Taxable income of R1,000,000, tax at 28% as a company. Half of that for the first 6 months. What is the late payment penalty? That amount times 10%, R14,000. Simple as that, guys. Example 2, this now shows the underestimation penalty. And this is where a taxpayer has a taxable income exceeding R1,000,000. Now remember, this underestimation penalty only applies to the second provisional payment. The second provisional tax payment says, to avoid penalties, if your taxable income exceeds 1 million, then you need to have 80% of the taxable income. If your taxable income does not exceed 1 million, then you must use the lower of, or you can use the lower of, the basic amount or 90% of taxable income. So what do we have here? A taxpayer with R1,000,000, it exceeds R1,000,000, so you need to use 80% of taxable income. Okay, so while limited as the 31 December year end, its expected taxable income for the year is 5 million, so that's the actual taxable income. Management of Y Limited wishes to submit an estimate of 3 million rands, and their first provisional tax payment was 392. What will be the penalty if they do this? Okay, so what is the minimum amount that they should use? Their taxable income is going to be 5 million rands, so the minimum amount they should use is 5 million times 80%, 4 million rands. What have they used? 3 million rands. Okay, so make sure that you see now how we do this calculation. So, you need to calculate what was the actual taxes paid by the taxpayer, and then the total taxes that they should have paid. So, we first start with the actual taxes. This is the actual taxes they pay. They base it on 3 million rands, so tax at 28%, less the first provisional tax payment, gives us the second provisional tax payment. So the total taxes that they've paid is the first provisional tax payment and the second provisional tax payment. So they've paid a total of 840,000 rands in tax. How much should they have paid? They should have used 4 million rands as the minimum. If you use 4 million as the minimum, times 28%, less the first provisional, means your second provisional tax payment is 728. So how much should they have paid? 392 plus 728, they should have paid 1120. They've only paid 840. They should have paid 1120. So 1120 minus 840 gives us a difference of 280,000. That times 20% gives us our underestimation penalty. Example 3 shows us now where a person has income that does not exceed R1 million. So if your income does not exceed R1 million, you need to calculate it on the lower of the basic amount or 90% of taxable income if you want to avoid penalties. Okay, so taxable income is 500,000. They want to submit 300,000. Their first provisional tax payment was 56, and the basic amount is 420,000. So I give you the basic amount. So now I'll ask you, what is the penalty that I have to pay? So to avoid a penalty, they must pay not less than the basic amount of 420 or 90% of the actual taxable income, which is 450. So the lowest amount that they can base it on is 420,000 rands. They did it now based on 300,000. Okay, so first we look at what did they actually pay. So they submitted 300,000, tax at 28%, less the first provisional tax payment gives us a second provisional tax payment of 28. So the total taxes that they've actually paid is 84,000 rands. What is the tax that they should have paid? They should not have based it on 300,000 rands like they did, they should have based it on 420 at least, or more than that. So, this is what the tax would have been, this is what the second provisional would have been. So this is the total tax they should have paid. So now you compare 84,000 and 117,600. The difference is 33,600 times 20%. That is your underestimation penalty.